Welcome to this Mojaloop installation guide. This guide is for anyone that wants to deploy a non-production grade Mojaloop installation on their local machine to learn more about Mojaloop or set up a functioning dev environment. Note, these steps are fully transposable when deploying a remote Kubernetes cluster if desired. This video also assumes that you have the necessary prerequisites installed, configured appropriately, and have a running Mojaloop deployment on a local Kubernetes environment. Please refer to the prerequisites and deployment sections within the Mojaloop deployment guide, or optionally, watch the Mojaloop installation prerequisites and macOS video guides first before continuing. In this video, I'll be covering how to verify an existing Mojaloop installation on macOS. I will be referring to the steps found in section 5.3, Testing Mojaloop. Let's start by first listing our Helm deployments within the demo namespace by running the helm list command, returning a release called Mojo. We can find out more information about this release by running the helm status command. Here we can see the helm test command that we can use to verify this deployment with the pre-populated parameters like the namespace demo. Let's copy and paste that command, which includes the optional logs parameter to display the results in the terminal. Switching to Lens, we can observe the outcome of running this command for pod resources under the workloads menu. On the top right, let's add a filter, TTK. Here we can see there is a setup pod test job that has started. This pod will run the standard provisioning scripts found in the Mojaloop testing toolkit test cases. We are also able to monitor the logs here by selecting it from the drop-down menu. Once completed, you will see a second pod called validation that will execute the golden path test cases. We can similarly monitor its log file. Pay attention to the number of passed and failed tests within the log entries. Here we expect to see 2064 passed test cases. If not, there may be a problem with your environment. I recommend having a look at the troubleshooting section of the deployment guide if you do experience any errors, or asking for help on the Mojaloop's community Slack by providing a copy of these logs. Once completed, you will see the status of the TTK pods change from running to completed. For some reason, my current version of Lens will automatically close the log monitors once the test has completed. Don't worry, the logs are still there and you can still access them as you did before. Let's go have a look at the terminal for the test results. Here we can see the final report, which contains a summary of the test suite for our local development environment that ran for just under 3 minutes. Below we can see a total of 2064 assertions with no failures. And this is great. We now know our Mojaloop deployment is not only operational, but functional as expected. As you can see, it was really easy to run our validation tests using our Helm test functionality. This also provides you with the opportunity to integrate the Helm test command into your own automated CI/CD pipelines. The TTK CLI tools that we use for this purpose also produce HTML reports that can be published to AWS S3 buckets. For an example, have a look at the announcements or QA testing webhooks channel on the Mojaloop community Slack, where you can access the Mojaloop organization testing environment reports. Alternatively, we can also run the setup and verification tests manually using the testing toolkit's user interface. This is useful for debugging as you'll be able to interact with the test cases directly, accessing the requests, responses, and callbacks. Let's open the URL http://testing-toolkit.local in our browser. First, we must ensure that we have the correct environment file configured, as it is possible to have a browser cache version if you have used the testing toolkit elsewhere with the same DNS as I have. Click the Test Runner menu on the left panel. Navigate to the Environment Manager on the top right. Here you can see that I have 2 preloaded environments that are already cached, and I'll be removing them before re-importing the environment properties directly from the server. When clicking the Import from the server button, you will be presented with several environment properties. We will be selecting the K8 default environment.json. Here we can see the environment properties that are applicable to our deployment, with the service names containing the Mojo release name as a prefix, which are only accessible within the private overlay network of our Kubernetes cluster. Navigating to the collection manager, we can conveniently import the Mojaloop test collections from GitHub via the Import from GitHub button, where we can select the desired version. Since we are currently running Mojaloop version 13.0.0 here, we will select the latest matching patch version 13.0.1. As we saw earlier, the Helm test command will run two test collections. The first for the hub and FSB setup, which is the provisioning collection, and the second being the verification, which is the golden path collection. You can run these in the same order if so desired, but since we have already run the provisioning collection earlier with the Helm test command, I'll be showing you how to run portions of the golden path. Let's select the golden path and click the import button. This will download the test collection from our GitHub repo onto our testing toolkit. Once completed, we can choose to select the entire golden path if we wish to run the entire test collection, or we can select individual test cases as we navigate the drop-down tree structure menu. Let's select a single feature test for the P2P money transfer happy path. This will load our selected test case into the test runner. We can now click the Run button on the top right. At the top, we'll now see a summary of our test cases showing that our 38 total assertions have passed. Below that on the far right, we can see our assertion results for each of our requests. Let's click the Edit button to access the test case editor. In the test case editor, we can see the details of the run we just executed, including the requests, responses, and callbacks where applicable. Here is an example response. And if we click the Test tab, for example on the Get Parties request, we can see all the assertions that were successful, as per the quotes request and the Send Transfers. For the Response tab on Transfers, we can see the actual synchronous response at the top and the callback at the bottom. Under the Request tab, we can see the original request that was sent. And at the bottom, we can see there's a curl command for convenience. Exiting the editor, we can also export a report by clicking the Download Report button. I will be selecting HTML. Select the location you'd like to save the report. I'll be opening up the report in my browser. And we are now presented with the same summary as before. Clicking on the Details tab, we have access to the same information we saw in the test case editor. Opening the transfers, we can see the request body, the curl command, the response, and the callback body, as well as the assertions below showing all passed.